chat with you guys for a little bit. Right now it's about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to give you last call that our Cyber Monday sales are ending tonight at midnight. So I thought I'd come on here, do a little Q&A, talk a little bit about what it's like for those of you guys who are thinking about becoming Warrior Pro members. Looks like I'm going to add a log to the fire. So go grab some firewood, load up the wood stove, get toasty. So here in New England, snow all day today. I was teaching class most of the day. I think many of you guys were in the class, but the snow's finally kind of come to a little bit of an end here. I'll show you. Let's see, I'll flip the camera around. So I guess it's a little bit hard to tell, but you can see we got a little bit of snow there. Those are the chimes. So the chimes, a couple little bushes. Nice quiet night. So a little bit of snow here. Hope you guys all had a great day. For those of you guys that were watching me trade live today, let me know how you did. We ended up having a stock that squeezed up over 100% today, which was awesome. We love that. And this stock that squeezed up over 100%, essentially, this is a stock that hit the scanners and met all 5 pillars of stock selection, popped up on the scan, and the first alert was at 7:56 a.m., and the price was about $4.40. Ended up hitting a high of, it was a little over $8. Ended up going a little bit higher. Come on, girl, this way. Ended up going a little bit higher during regular trading hours today. But, you know, it was just like, it was perfect timing because, you know, we've been going through the classes and I've been talking about, you know, these setups that I trade. And so then to have this stock that pops up and, you know, perfectly meets all 5 pillars of stock selection and we end up getting a big squeeze out of it, it was like, you know, it was great timing. And I think it was really nice for a lot of you guys who are newer members to be able to see, you know, this kind of action because, you know, the market, I mean, look, we always have hot stretches and cold stretches, but, you know, when you get to see like stocks with this degree of volatility, it is, it's pretty special. It's really nice. So, all right. So let's do some Q&A. I know my beard is getting long. Well, it's, you know, it's that time of year. I've got to keep my face warm. So, you know, yeah, I guess so. I guess it is getting long. All right. Thank you guys. Welcome. Hope you're all having a great night. And we've had a great week so far. We had a great day yesterday. Let's see, we had a stock squeeze up over 100%. We had an algo squeeze on that one, locked up, let's see, it was about $39,000 yesterday. Today, made $45,000 on our leading gainer, which was awesome. Gave back a little profit on a different stock, so finished up about $43,000 on the day. But overall, pretty solid. Reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow. My approach is, you know, I focus just really on one trade at a time, and I use a lot of buying power. Today, I actually maxed out my buying power on my big account. So I could not have bought more shares. I was using all of my buying power, 100% of it, but just on that one trade. And for a period of, you know, that trade was maybe 7 or 8 minutes long. It wasn't a very long trade. So I'm kind of like all in, but very like kind of sniper, like very right in this moment. And then I'm out and I'm back to cash. So like right now, I'm not holding anything in my account. My account's back to cash for the night. You know, so it's like, it gives me a chance to be aggressive, but then also take, you know, my foot off the gas the rest of the day. I think some traders, I don't know, I think some traders don't really understand the way I think about risk. For me, when I first started trading, you know, I was very risk averse. I had a couple of big losses early on, and I was like, all right, I cannot afford to do that again. So I was super scared to hold any positions overnight. Didn't want to do that. And so I was day trading, right? And when I was day trading, basically the approach I would take is if I see a setup I like, I'm going to be aggressive on it. I'm going to get in. I might even use leverage. And then I'm going to get out of that trade real quick. So it's like quick entry and then back out and then don't overstay my welcome. And that for me, ended up working really well. I think some people, think, well, wait, if you're investing, you should never put more than, 10% of your account into any one position. You're day trading, you're putting 100% of your account into one position, which is true, but then I'm only holding it for like 5 minutes, so it's like a lot of risk central, sort of like consolidated in this little window and then back to, risk off. But this is day trading. And to me, if I only used a tenth of my account, I don't know what the rest of my account would be doing, during all that time. So anyways, some of you guys tuning in here, who knows, maybe you already ended up joining and you just happen to be tuning in on YouTube. So let people know here in the comments what it's like being a member now that you've kind of seen, the inside, being a member and going through the classes and watching me teach. Today I had class. We started teaching, let's see, what did we do? Start at noon. We did class from noon today till 4. So we did about 4 hours of class on top of trading, which was a nice day. It was a great day. So how do you trade my strategy if you're under 18 years old? All right, so if you're under 18 years old, what you have to do is you've got to trade in a simulator. And you can't open a broker account unless you have the permission of your parents. So you've got to open, you could use a simulator, but it all has to be under the permission of your parents. Those are the rules. Hey, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Day Trade Dash and Webull as the broker. So that's a great question. So Day Trade Dash, we don't have the integration to execute trades on Day Trade Dash. Day Trade Dash is charting, scanning, breaking news, and our chat rooms, but then you have to execute the trades on Webull. So right now, as part of my small account challenge, I'm doing both. So I've got my small account challenge right here, and then I've got Day Trade Dash here. So I click here to execute the trades, and then on Day Trade Dash, that's where I'm doing all my scanning. So basically I have 2 windows just on the same monitor. I will have day 5 of the small account challenge. I'm going to post it live right after this live broadcast, so you guys can watch that. So I trade in my taxable account occasionally, but pretty rarely. I try to avoid it. So I'm mostly trading in a Roth IRA at this point. I did trade in a Roth IRA for the entire beginning of my career, but starting around 2021, I think 2020, I'm trying to remember, was like 50-50, or was it 2021? I can't remember which year. Maybe it was 2020. Somewhere around there, I switched. I had a lot of tax because I made a lot of profit, and I was like, all right, at this point, I think I should really start to just focus on trading in the Roth IRA. Look, over the years, since I first started trading, I've been able to diversify my income a little bit. So I have, I have different streams of income coming in. So if I have really trading profits and I don't need to spend that money today, then I'd rather trade in my Roth IRA and save it for a rainy day. My kind of mindset with the Roth IRA has always been, I'm accumulating the profit right now tax-free. If I need the money for whatever reason, I can withdraw it and I pay a penalty. It's not ideal. I'd prefer not to, but I could. I mean, it's always an option. You just pay the penalty and it is what it is. So I just figured if I get to a point where, I needed it, then, that's something I could do. But hopefully I don't get to that point. All right, so let's see. Hey, signed up for the trial yesterday. I love the charts, was able to watch. Right, very good. Yeah, and no, it's a lot that's going on kind of all at the same time when you get into the platform. You've got my broadcast, we've got a news squawk, you've got the scanner alerts. It's like so much going on. One of the things that I've been teaching you guys about is how you can actually set up, especially, it depends on what broker you use, but a lot of brokers allow you to set up 2 accounts. You can set up a retirement account, like a Roth IRA, and then you also have your main account. And then you can link them, so whenever you trade, it mirrors the trade in both accounts. So now you can basically trade, you buy 1,000 shares, it's actually buying 2,000 shares because you're in both accounts. So this is a great technique for those that want to trade in a Roth IRA, that want to try to start saving long term, but also don't want to sacrifice trading in your main account. You can only do it when there's two accounts under the same user. You can't link like external accounts. But if they're on the same user, then when you log in to like Thinkorswim, you can have both accounts right there. Hey, Jack, thank you. Warrior Pro member for 5 years. Now, Jack, was that you posting your P&L for the month of November? And it was all green? I wasn't sure if that was you. I know there's a couple other folks named Jack in the chat room, but I know you've been working at it for a long time. So yes, I took out $60,000 from my CMEG account, and I did donate that. Donated $30,000 to the Boston Children's Hospital and $30,000 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So I took that out. I left $500 in the account. So I am prepared, potentially to do another $500 small account challenge at some point. But for right now, I'm just leaving it at, I'm focusing on the Webull challenge and everything else. So the CMEG account is sort of on like inactive for the time being, and I'll get back to it when I get into the next leg up, the next challenge. And today I actually donated another $10,000. We did $5,000 to the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts, and we did $5,000 to another organization, No Kids Hungry. So we want to do that for Giving Tuesday, and we were pretty close to being kind of at the next leg of the small account challenge to donate another 10 grand. So I went ahead and did that donation today. So we're now at $185,000 that we've donated just in the last 6 weeks or so, which has been great. So right now, total, we're at about 1.7 million in donations. I think right around 1.65, 1.7 million. I'll have to double check, but about $185,000 that I've donated in the last 6 weeks. So, I like to do these small account challenges, as I've talked about over the years. You've seen me do a number of trading days where I did this especially during like the pandemic in 2021, 2022, where I would do like a Thankful Thursday and 100% of my trading profit would get donated to charity. And I had days I'd make 100 grand and then just put 100,000 on my Amex card and, do 10 different nonprofits for 10,000 each. And I would do it all live right on YouTube while I was doing my recap. And yeah, it was, so I did a number of those days. And then this fall, I thought maybe I could kind of harness you guys to help me with the match. And I really appreciate all of you guys who have been hitting the thumbs up to help me do that. So is Day Trade Dash included for a year in the Pro membership? Day Trade Dash is included for 90 days. So the Warrior Pro membership and our bundle, we have this sale that's going on right now. It's our biggest sale of the year for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and it ends tonight at midnight. So the sale will end. The current special bundle that we've put together on our Warrior Pro membership gives you 3 years of access to my curriculum, 1 year of access to my chat room and my live audio video broadcast, 90 days of access to our trading simulator, and 90 days of access to Day Trade Dash, which is the software that we use for charting, scanning, and news. We do 90 days of access to the sim and to Day Trade Dash because of the market data costs, which are substantial. We spend a lot of money on market data to run the platform. So we give you 90 days for free. And then if you guys are still enjoying it, by all means, we give you guys a discounted membership as a Warrior Pro subscriber. So you can do a monthly subscription, for as long as you want. It's discounted versus our website price by, 30% or something like that. But and it's up to you. Like if you love the software and you want to keep using it, by all means. If you're not enjoying it, then that's fine. What we want to be careful of we separate it from the chat room because we expect you're going to want to be in the chat room for the whole year. So you can be watching me trade, so you can be in the classroom doing mentor sessions. But if you're not using the software, then we let it expire. So we're not paying the market data for people that aren't using it. Because otherwise we're just spending extra money on market data and it's not getting used. You're right. You cannot short stocks in a Roth IRA. There's no shorting in a Roth IRA. So here, let me throw this at you. So this year I'm up $6 million. In my Roth IRA, income tax, zero. No income tax. If a short seller makes $6 million and they live in New York City or they live in California, they're going to have nearly 50% income tax. So they'll have $3 million after tax. So I'm making as much in my Roth IRA as a short seller who's making 12 million. They have to make twice as much money to net the same amount as me. So, this is a thing where I am more tax efficient, and it doesn't mean, could you argue, am I making more money? Well, at the end of the day, I'm netting more, I'm keeping more in my pocket because I'm more tax efficient. Now, obviously, I can't take that money out. I can't buy a Lamborghini. I gotta wait till I'm 59 and a half years old. When I'm 59 and a half years old, you're going to see me with, I don't think I would do it, but we'll see, maybe. And yeah, you can set up multiple Roth IRAs, and I do. I have one that I use for day trading, and then I have another one that I use for long-term investing. And then when I did my, all my broker, all the broker demos and broker reviews, I usually just do you could do a direct contribution from one Roth IRA to another. So I would it's like a electronic transfer. It never goes to your account. It just goes from, directly. So, and you could do that. So then I did that with Interactive Brokers and TradeStation and the other brokers, Thinkorswim, that I've done those demos on. You're restricted in how much you can contribute into your Roth IRA each year of fresh money. But once the money's in there, you can move it between accounts, but you're restricted on doing an, indirect rollover where they send you a check and then you deposit it into a new account. Because in the interim, you could go gamble it or do something crazy, and then, so that could be a mistake. After you retire, can you still trade tax-free? So my understanding is that if you've had the Roth IRA open for at least 5 years, that at the age of 59 and a half years old, you can be taking profit out same day, but you need the account to have been open for at least 5 years to do that. So I haven't spent a ton of time thinking about that because I'm not there yet, but yeah. All right, thank you guys who are tuning in. Appreciate you guys hitting the thumbs up. So, here's what I'll tell you. Ray says, these prices are crazy for a newbie. So I'm going to tell you a couple things. Number one, you can learn a ton for free right here on YouTube, and I always encourage you to do that. Learn as much as you can for free. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll also tell you that when you fund your first account, you can lose $500 in an instant. And you'd say, well, every loss is a lesson. And I lost a lot of money trading when I was first getting started. And I don't know that I learned that I had equivalent lessons to really justify that amount of losing. And in fact, you think about a 10,000 share position and losing 35 cents is $3,500 gone in an instant. And my argument on that is if you spend $3,500 on a curriculum, a course that gave you 100 hours of educational content, you learn a lot more than you learned from losing $3,500 in 1 minute, just because of how quickly you can take those losses. So look, if you're in a place where you've got a cash account with Robinhood or Webull with $100 in it, no, spending $3,500 on your education, spending $100 a month on market data or whatever it is, it's not going to be for you right now. I totally get that. It's not for everyone. It's for people that, are kind of similar to where I was at when I was getting started, where you really want to take the next step. You want to learn from someone who's doing this, and you want to immerse yourself in a community of professional traders. Look, there's a lot of discords that you can go in for free. You can mess around on Reddit and Twitter and all that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever works for you. If you're happy with what you're doing, then hey, I'm happy for you. It's whatever, whatever you feel like is fair for you. So, we're at a point where I've been doing this for a long time. I know what else is out there in terms of educational content, and so I think that we've got the value on it right, where we give people a great experience, and they're really thrilled. And so for that, I'm pleased. Why don't I move to New Hampshire for the tax benefits? Well, then I'd have to live in New Hampshire. I'm not the biggest fan of New Hampshire. I went to high school in New Hampshire, and actually, I lived in New Hampshire for a while, and I didn't really like it that much. So, I'm okay with not being in New Hampshire. See, this is the thing. You pay tax to live where you want to live. People want to live in California. It costs money to live there, but they live there. You want to live in New York, costs money to be there, but you pay it. You want to live in Florida and be on the beach? It's pretty nice. No income tax. So Florida or New Hampshire, if those are your choices, I don't know. I think Florida's gonna win for most people. But yeah, I don't know. It's at the end of the day, where you live. Look, if I really wanted to save money, I'd move to Puerto Rico. But again, then you've got to make the decision of relocating your whole life to Puerto Rico. So it's just it's for some people it makes sense, and others it's not. So, but again, if you're tax efficient, you're trading in a Roth IRA, then that all helps. I guess if you lived in Puerto Rico, you wouldn't have to worry really about being tax efficient. So let's see. A car guy. Oh, a 72 Datsun. Very cool. Good for you. Okay, thank you guys tuning in. Let's see. Let's see. Let me see what your question was. What was your question, Michael? Let me just scroll up. Michael. Here, do me a favor, post your question again so I can see it, because now it must be buried in the comments. All right, so I'm ready. Mary Ann, that's a no-brainer question. All right, well, I don't see, I guess I'll wait for you to post your question again. Oh, there it is. Can you trade the micro pullback on the 1 minute chart? Yeah, absolutely. So a micro pullback on a 1 minute chart is usually just one red candle, or sometimes you got the first green candle, you have a lower candle wick of the second green candle, and then it surges back up. So yes, you can definitely trade it on the 1 minute chart, and I do trade it. But what I often do is I'll then pull up the 10-second chart when I'm doing my recap. So I'll show you what it looks like on that, on the 10 seconds. So then you can kind of see, oh, they did pull back there for a second, because when you're unfortunately on a 1 minute chart, when I'm showing it in my recap, it sometimes just looks like two big green candles. That was the issue we had today with that one that went up, 120%. It just looked like two giant green candles, and you couldn't actually tell that there was a pullback, but there was. Hey, Brian, started with Warrior with $1,000 account when I first started and trade 100 shares at a time for 6 months. Awesome. That's good. Slow and steady, right? That's the way to do it. Great job, Brian. Let's see. Can you consider depth trading as a business series? Can I consider an in-depth trading as a business series? I've watched my prior videos, but I'd love to hear more. Trading as a business. Yes, I definitely can. I've done episodes where I've talked about taxes and, LLCs and S corps and, different ways that you can set things up. Oops, sorry, that you can set things up like that. So there are a few different things that you can do. And yeah, I could do more classes on that. I pay attention to which episodes people like, and then I also take feedback. So I'm just gonna make a note on that. So let's see, trading as a business episode. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna come back to that one. Thank you. Hey, welcome, 3-month Warrior Pro member here. Can't recommend it enough. Great community. You'll be learning a lot. Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate you saying that. Why do I do better on real money than the sim? That's interesting. I'm not sure. If all things are the same, share size, everything else, your one variable is price improvement. Commission-free brokers offer price improvement. It can be as much as 1 cent. I mean, sometimes it's more than that, but it can average as much as 1 cent per share. So if you're doing 10,000 shares, I mean, 1 cent's $100. Over the course of the day, that's not insignificant. That could be a factor. It depends on what broker you're using. What is trading during a recession like? So trading during a recession, it kind of depends because depends on the cause of the recession. Oftentimes there's sort of inverse relationships where the overall market's going down, but there are other areas of the market that are going up. I mean, there's just certain stocks that people gravitate towards when we're in recessionary environments. So, I mean, you've got sort of standard large cap stocks like some alcohol companies, Walmart, Dollar General, Dollar Store, Target, to a lesser extent, McDonald's, I say that already, Budweiser. So, some of those have an inverse relationship where overall market goes down and they perform well. They like recessionary periods. Even there's auto parts companies go up. People are less likely to buy new cars, more likely to fix their cars. So AutoZone, those types of stocks can do well during recessionary periods. When it comes to small cap trading, it depends on the theme. We've had some periods where we've been in a recessionary environment and then the price of oil has gone up big time. So then you have all these speculative oil companies, small cap oil companies, where their price starts surging. So, that can create an unexpected opportunity. It depends. I suppose I would say that number one for us is volatility. And so when we have volatility, I mean, that's what we need. And a bear market does not necessarily correlate to an absence of volatility. It depends. It depends on what's going on in the market. Let's see. As a beginner, would I recommend the Warrior Starter or the Warrior Pro? Well, so the Warrior Starter is basically the first 15 chapters of the Warrior Pro. And then the Warrior Pro continues where the starter leaves off. So you could join the Warrior Starter, and then if it's a good experience, you just upgrade to the Pro and you keep going. And if it's not, then you say, well, I'm not going to keep going. I don't have any really expensive cars right now. I have before, and I've sold them. The cars that I've bought that have been more expensive have mostly been collectible cars. And the goal is to buy them, and then, I own them for a little while. But, most of them have been, I mean, I had different sort of plans with some of them when I first bought them. But in any case, I don't know the most expensive one. But I had some older cars, some classic cars, like a 1969 Mustang that was pretty valuable. That was a Boss 429, so that was a pretty expensive car. I mean, that was a really nice car. It's kind of hard to drive. It was a lot of engine, a lot of power. But yeah, that one. I had a split window Corvette, one of the old ones, a 63. Split window. I had a 1955 Speedster. That was an old car. I think that was one of the oldest. No, I had a 1950 Chevy at one point. But anyways, yeah, I like older cars. This actually I had I had this exact one for a while right here. That Land Rover series. I had that car for a while. That was a nice one. I do like older cars. The thing is, I like things that were built to last. I'm not a big fan of this, throwaway kind of culture of, just toss it in the garbage. I mean, whenever I go to Italy and I see these things driving around, I'm like, especially the four-wheel drive ones, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Those are cute. I would like one of those. I like small cars too. I like the really small ones. The little BMW Isetta. That one's a cute one. Little Fiat. Those are fun. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I did when I would get some of these old cars, I would drive around with them. This one I like a lot. That's a Shelby GT500. Those are. I tried to buy one a couple times and I kept getting outbid. Someone else would buy it out from under me. I just like the idea of cars that I could keep for, forever. No, my office isn't open to the public. We don't have like a front-facing kind of setup like that. I'm allowed to visit my office, but no, I don't. I don't take visitors. I did last year as part of a school program. There was a high school student that wanted to learn more about trading, and I let him come and trade with me, and that was cool. He enjoyed that. So things like that will happen from time to time. But okay, so and that's actually a good point on antique cars and being investments. I mean, some of them can actually be good investments. So yeah, it depends. Let's see. Hey, just joined the Warrior Starter this afternoon. I plan to join. I plan to log into the chat room. All right, wonderful. And I hope you do upgrade to the Pro. But either way, I think you'll have a great time as a starter member. So how does the upgrading work? When you log in to your member's dashboard, you'll have there's a link where you can upgrade. Prop firms, what do I think? I think prop firms had a nice competitive advantage and offering in the 90s and the 2000s when access to sophisticated trading software and high-speed internet was more limited, and where being in one of those offices would give you the chance to learn from other traders. I think today the model's doesn't have as compelling of an offering, but I don't think I don't think there's anything wrong in theory with learning in that environment if it's suitable for you. But generally, with a lot of prop firms, you have to get licensed. Some of them have profit splits. Some of them, of course, will have some. They'll sort of dictate the type of stocks you can trade and can't trade. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't really. It's not something I ever did. It's not something I would do. Now, this is a car I had. This was a great car, a Volvo 240. This is a classic. These cars are bulletproof. I still see these cars driving around. They're fantastic. I bought one. So I actually have a story about that car. So when I funded my first account in 2001, I funded it with $1,000. And so that summer, I did it as sort of like a school, like summer break. I was like, I'm going to fund this account. And I set myself up. It's like so funny. I feel like I've seen I don't know, memes about this, but I set up my desk and, I set up like my little, what would you call it? Like a ledger for, writing down all my positions, and had my pen, and everything was sort of laid out. And I had a computer. It was a laptop. It was man, this computer was amazing. I loved this computer. It's probably my favorite computer I've ever had. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. MacBook Pro. Let's see. It was 1999, black. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Oh, it's close to that. Let's see. Era. This is like an antique. Oh, yeah, this was it. This was it. Oh man, such good memories on that computer. So the evolution of the Mac, I'll turn this around for you so you can see. So let me turn this around. There you go. So that was it right there. That was my computer. Oh, we had good times. So that was the computer I had, 1999, 2005, the MacBook, or the power, or they called it a PowerBook, the PowerBook era. That computer was amazing. Anyways, so I set that up. I had my TD, my Ameritrade account, and I started buying shares of stocks. And anyways, I bought shares of companies I knew, invested, deployed all my capital, $1,000 was all in, like right away. And then every day I'd sit down and I'd check my ledger and, well, gosh darn it, these stocks weren't moving. Well, how much does ExxonMobil move? I mean, on a typical day, not that much. And this was 25 years ago. So over the course of the whole summer, I'm logging in every day. I'm checking. Some of them would go down a little bit. Should I sell it? Should I hold it? I don't know. And so anyways, it didn't, I didn't make any money. It was not a successful endeavor. And so I ended up cashing out that account and buying a 1990 Volvo 240 black station wagon with 245,000 miles. And so I bought it with 245,000 miles, and I bought it for $1,100. This is the computer right there. So I bought it for $1,100, and I ended up owning that car for, it's like 5-6 years. And so while I owned that car, it was parked at a movie theater. I was letting my friend borrow it, and someone backed into it, and they dented it pretty badly, and they did a little hit and run. So anyways, insurance gave me a settlement for the damage, and I replaced the light. You had, free inspection. I needed to, but I didn't fix the dent. So I ended up getting, I can't remember what it was. It was like $1,500 or something like that from the insurance settlement. So that was really surprising. And I don't know, in those days, how that worked exactly, but so I got some money for that. And then I had a friend who was borrowing the car all the time. And every time they borrowed it, they'd leave like $20 in the car. So that was great. And then they were driving it one time and it broke down. And then they're like, I'm sorry, it's probably my fault. I paid to fix it. I was like, okay. So I paid to fix it. So then when I went to sell it, I listed it on Craigslist for, I saw other ones that were listed for like $2,000, $2,500. So I think I listed it for $1,800 and sold it for $1,600 or $1,800. Anyways, I ended up having a good ROI on that car. And eventually I got back into trading. But, this color, though, this teal color was really where it was at. That was a good color. Oh, and this guy's cool. So... yeah, that's very cool. That's a nice old car. This was a book that someone sent me. It just showed up in the mail at the Warrior office one day. And I was like, oh, sweet. This is cool. Thank you. So I never really know who sent it, but it said A Man and His Car. A Man and His Car. Yeah, so this is the one that I had. And this car was actually, this was, the one that I had was, it was a real piece of junk. But it's all right. Live and learn. So let's see, 8 o'clock right now. Thank you guys who are all tuning into this live broadcast. Doing a little Q&A here. Got myself kind of on a side quest, looking at some of these old cars in this book. Let's see. So, oh, this is wow. I didn't even. Mm, wow, I could talk a lot about this one. This is how many of you guys are familiar with this car here? Has anyone ever seen that before? So that meter behind me, right up there, is an old stock market. It's basically a computer that lets you do a like PE ratio kind of like analysis of bullish or bearish. Um, so my grandmother actually rode in this car. This car was invented in, gosh, what year was it? What does it say? I don't know what year it was, but um, I never met her. She passed away. Must have been in the 1960s that she died. So I think that this car might have been in the 50s or something like that. But yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's really amazing. Anyways, yeah, super cool. So I won't go on that tangent just now, but so how much does it cost to watch the classes? Okay, so I put the link. I'll pin it. It should be pinned to the comments, but I'll put it. You know what? I don't even know. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I probably. Someone was saying I should trim my beard. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Nobody knows. Let's see. I'll just jump over here. So so you can watch, I mean, look, if you want the answer, you can watch a lot of my classes for free right on YouTube. And I'm happy for you guys to do that. I love it. I love being able to, put out this content for you on YouTube and for you guys to absorb it. I don't trade live on YouTube though. So if you want to be able to watch me trading live, then you would have to be a member of the Warrior Trading community. I only give access to my chat room to members that are part of my classes. And that's because my classes are really the chat room. I'm just pinning the comment there. So there's the link for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. The classroom is essentially where I demonstrate the strategies I teach, the live chat room, where I demonstrate the strategies I teach in the full length classes. So that's the only place where you guys can watch me trading. So the prices, it depends on what you join. We've got the Warrior Starter and we've got our Warrior Pro membership. The Warrior Starter bundle that we've got going on right now is $600. You guys can check that out. $597, I think it is. And then our Warrior Pro membership is $34.97. So you guys can check that out. And that includes a year of access to my chat room, 90 days of access to our trading simulator, and 90 days of access of Day Trade Dash. So you guys can check those out. Oh, thank you. Hey, that's kind of you. I appreciate that. Well, I really appreciate that, and I will. I'll tell you what. Send me an email, and we'll give you a link to one of our PDF resources that you can have access to. All right, wonderful. Yeah. So the way I built out the curriculum, when I first taught my classes, it was in the summer of 2014. And at that time, so when I've told this story a couple times, but I created Warrior Trading, what originally is Day Trade Warrior. It was a WordPress blog. And I created that in 2012. And I opened a chat room, and there was, I don't know, 10, 15 people maybe. It was not a lot of activity there. And so then I closed it down, but kept doing YouTube videos and things like that. I began doing those actually in 2013. So I was doing that, and I was writing blog posts. And then in the summer of 2014, that spring, I'd opened up the chat room again. And we had, I want to say, about 100 people in the chat room. And I decided to teach the what has now become my full-length course. And I think I broke it down into 10 chapters, maybe 15, I can't remember, but I I remember I sort of was like, all right, guys, I'm going to just teach you classes. After I finish trading, I'm going to walk you through. So it wasn't super organized, but I thought I'd make an effort to do it. And I remember kind of being a little bit overwhelmed at where to even start. I was like, there's so much to cover, but where do I even begin? And so I remember that first day, I was like, okay, so, you know, day trading. Whoa. Uh, where to begin? And I was like, you know what, guys, let me go and work on this for a second. So I kind of got into I started working on a slide deck, like a PowerPoint slide deck, and kind of organizing. I was like, okay, so where do we begin? And I just kind of, this is a time in my life where I, it was just different for me then. I was single at that time. You know, I just had so much more time on my hands. And so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna, just dive into this thing. And I just started working on putting it all together. And then I taught that first version of the class. And that was sort of a skeleton of what it is today. But ultimately, it was chapter 1, Introduction to Day Trading, chapter 2, Risk Management, chapter 3, Stock Selection, chapter 4, Daily Chart Patterns, chapter 5, we got into intraday candlestick patterns, chapter 6, Level 2 and Tape Reading, chapter 7, the Gap and Go Strategy, chapter 8, Momentum Trading, chapter 9, Reversal Trading, chapter 10 was short selling. Chapter 11 was scalp trading. Chapter 12, stock scanning. Chapter 13, trading psychology. Chapter 14, the trading plan. Chapter 15, when to trade live with real money. Chapter 16, small account challenges. Chapter 17, troubleshooting, like how to get started, like troubleshooting common issues that people run into. Chapter 18, taxes and day trading as a business in an LLC or an S Corp. Chapter 19, I was doing platform demos, and then chapter 20 was the capstone class, the final class. And then on top of that, I began doing interviews with traders who verified their profitability with me with broker statements. So, 100K profit, do an interview with that person, 500K, $1 million, started doing interviews. So I got all those added to the curriculum. And then sometimes, I would have someone who had been really successful teach, like a 3 or 4 hour long lecture on what was working for them. So then they would, come in. And so now this curriculum has really gotten built out to what it is today. Let's see. So what are we at in terms of, I think it's about 100 hours total content, the entire curriculum right now. And that's what, you guys get access to. And it's split now into day trading the basics, and then in strategies and scaling. Day trading the basics is basically where I lay the foundation of these 15 sort of pillars, 15 kind of core components to learning how to trade. And then when we get into strategies and scaling, we kind of revisit all of them, but we add more depth. And as I teach, the way I kind of have learned works well to teach it is in the Day Trading the Basics class, and even here on YouTube, I present to you sort of my, I present to you kind of the basics of each of these concepts, but I try not to overwhelm you because I don't want to, I don't want to overwhelm you guys and have you just like tap out. So like, in my first, for instance, in the first Day Trading the Basics, when we're talking about order types, I don't get into complex order types. I don't get into like, there's all these complex order types that you can use. I don't want to get into them here, but I don't get into them there. I say, we're going to come back to this. So here are the basic 3 order types that I would use every day. And then we're going to come circle back around to this. And so then, it's like I introduce the topic of all these things high level, and then we keep circling around and coming back and just adding more layers of depth. And then by the time we're getting into the live trading archives and you're looking at these examples of me trading, you're like, okay, this all makes sense. I've seen this. I've been watching this. And so that's when I feel like the rubber kind of meets the road. And it's a process. I mean, learning anything complex is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. So one of the things I was talking about actually just the other day when I was teaching is I was talking about this process and journey that you guys are on, which is converting essentially all the general knowledge of the market into a skill. Reading about trading, watching videos about trading. Some of you guys, I see this all the time. People say, oh, I've been listening to your book on, tape. I drive a truck and, I just been listening to it and it's been amazing. I've been listening to all your videos and that's phenomenal. I mean, it's a great use of your time. I mean, it's wonderful. But the reason I bring it up is because, for instance, I could spend a lot of time reading about how to drive a manual transmission on an 18-wheeler and how to back one and park it in, but to loading dock. But until you actually get in the seat, I can't say I know how to do it. I might know in theory, yeah, you push the clutch, you do this, you do that, but until you've actually sat there, right? What do I know? And I think trading is kind of like that. You can learn the theory of trading. Oh, you buy low, you sell high. How complicated can it be? But then when you actually kind of open the platform, that is where you begin the process of converting all the knowledge, which is theory, into an actual skill. And now some people, they don't complete that crossing, that journey, right? They make it to, hey, thanks, I appreciate that, Michael. That was kind of you. They don't make that transition from general knowledge to actually skill. Look, hey, I've read about skydiving, but I haven't made the crossing. I'm not a skydiver. I've read about, there's things I've read about, but I haven't made the leap to doing it. And I might try and realize that's not for me. I've read about crossing the Atlantic Ocean in a sailboat, like these single-handed crossings people do. And I get nervous in the middle of, Lake Winnipesaukee, to throw out a New Hampshire reference for the person from before. You get those big winds and it's pretty scary out there. So I feel like my goal for you guys is that I'm able to help you with that bridge of converting all this knowledge to the skill. And we go through a very kind of step-by-step process. You got to practice in the simulator, gain a lot of experience, prove you can maintain these metrics in the sim. Now that's nice because we give you a sim that you can practice on. So you practice in the sim, safe environment, and then you get to a point where you're making money in the sim, you transition to real money, but with small size, right? You make that leap, small size, and then you start scaling up. So those are the steps that we walk through. Now, I just wanted to show you guys here. I'll just switch this again. So this is the Warrior Pro. My class has been ranked by Investopedia as the most comprehensive day trading course, which I was really proud of. But this is the current curriculum. So right now it is 21 chapters, including the interviews with profitable traders right here. And you can see how long each of these sections are. So that's an hour and 20 minutes, hour 47, 2 hours, hour 15, 3 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, 22 hours. My momentum trading chapter right here is 22 hours long. And I mean, I share everything with you guys. I put it all into it. Then some of these are a little shorter. And then this one right here, the small account challenge, that one's 23 hours long. The interviews with profitable traders, that's 24 hours long. So, this is right now is the curriculum that we've put together. And so, I wanted to come on here and give you guys the last call because our Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday sales are ending today. So they end tonight at midnight. So, but yeah, I think I remember when I first started teaching, there were people in the community that were like, oh, I've been learning from this person and, this person. And I was like, tell me, what is that like? What did they teach you that was really great? Or where did they fall short? And the thing that a lot of people kept saying is, the education on the surface was good, like high level, talking about strategy and, showing examples of their trades. But then there was kind of this like um, major gap of how do I actually like apply this today? Like, what are the steps I take today? How do I actually find these stocks in real time? Like how did you find those stocks? And people couldn't tell. Like where did you even find that idea? And how did you know to get in there? I see it worked, but like, what would have happened if it didn't work? So it's confusing. And then there's always this question of like, okay, well, can you show me like over the last like 6 months what your performance is? That was something that I always wanted to see when I was thinking about like, is this someone I should learn from? I'd be like, what's your performance over the last 6 months? The last year, like day to day. How much are you making? And I was just blown away by the fact that I could almost never find that information. So at the bottom of our website, it was very important to me to post my verified earnings right here. So on this page here, you can see my independent accountants report right here, this is actually an audit right here of an independent accountants report of all of my trading profits from the small account challenge. So that's all right there. Now, what this gives you is my month performance: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, for 17, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's every single month. Now, some of you guys are like, well, cool. Okay, so you're green that month, $500,000. But I want to see how you actually did it. Well, all right. So then go check the verified broker statement right there. And now here, is the month of January. So that's the actual statement right there. It shows you how much I started in the account, how much money. Well, for some reason, my camera's terrible at this. But in any case, I'll post the link here in the chat and you guys can check it out. But it shows how much I started with, how much I made each individual day. So now you can kind of get a sense of, okay, at least in my case, I tried to bridge that gap where you can see beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am trading every day, and this is the strategy that that I'm teaching. And so then through the recaps I post right here on YouTube, you're able to actually see, like, when you log into those individual days, oh, those were the stocks that Ross was trading. So today, upload my recap. From 2017 through 2020, pretty much the beginning of 2020, I was doing the recaps every day. And then during the pandemic, I sort of switched and started just doing, during the beginning of the pandemic, I was doing a live broadcast of my watch list. We were sort of like all in this lockdown. I was like, you know what, guys, like, I'm just going to stream here. We're all in this together. And so I was doing that every day. And then I kept doing that for a good portion of 2020, even into 2021. I was still doing a live day trading morning show here on YouTube. And then I sort of switched gears and I was like, I think I need to get back to kind of the core of like what the way I was doing things before, which is to do a recap of my trades. And so then I switched back to doing recaps, and I've been doing those now for several years again. So I had a little period in there where I was kind of not very active on YouTube. I was only uploading every couple of weeks, and I don't know. I was teaching, but I wasn't as active on YouTube, and then I got more active again. What's my most profitable strategy? So my most profitable strategy, the thing is, you could argue that I really only trade one strategy. That's the thing. What's the strategy that I trade? I'm a momentum trader. I trade momentum. So, I don't trade like a huge variety of strategies. So that is my most profitable strategy. What is customer support like? So we do have customer support, and we have it in two ways. So we have email support that we offer, and we have pretty quick turnaround time. I'm really, really pleased with my customer support team that I have. They do a phenomenal job. And so I have people that are part of my team that uh, ran customer service at a different tech company, not in the trading space, but at a pretty big tech company, it's a publicly traded company, and I was able to hire one of them to kind of lead my team here, and then everyone that works, is right underneath under that leadership. So I'm really pleased with that. It's not a big team, but it's very organized. So we have a ticketing system. We get your tickets, we tag it, and then we reply to it. If it's a existing customer or if it's a prospective customer. So we try to reply to existing customers first, prospective customers second. Sometimes if you're emailing from an unknown email that's not associated with your account, you'll get in the wrong bucket, but we'll get you fixed there. In any case, so customer support is email Monday through Friday. And then we don't email too much over the weekend unless it's really urgent. Then during the day, regular trading hours, you can log in and we have a chat room. So you can log into the support room and you can get email, text support, typing support. And then we have mentor sessions. And during the mentor sessions, you can bring Q&A, and those are more trading specific questions. So our customer support is really good with tech support, billing questions, login questions, things like that. But they're not traders. Traders want to trade, right? So they understand trading well enough to point you in the right direction to find answers to your questions. But ultimately, if you really need a trading specific answer, you're going to need to come into the mentor sessions, which is, whether me or one of my other Warrior Pro graduates who are now helping with these Q&A sessions, which is great. But we don't do phone support. So that's the one thing we don't do. We don't do phone support. It's just, I mean, the fact is, I think probably, I don't know, phone support is tough, but it's just, it would be difficult for us to offer that, I think. All right, so let's see, what's the next question? Yeah, well, that's the thing. So I kind of think that there's two leading causes of failure among traders. The first is they come into the market with no strategy. They're shooting from the hip, and they can end up losing a lot of money. $500,000. Yeah, I've seen that happen before. I've seen traders come in and they'll make some money. They'll have some beginner's luck, and then that gives them a high degree of confidence. And they're like, oh my gosh, here we go. And then, all of a sudden they start to spiral. And so it can be a very slippery slope. And it's really important to be able to pump the brakes on your trading when your metrics are showing that you're not making good money, right? That's when it's time to step back and slow down, for sure. Now, the second group of traders I've seen fail will have a strategy, whether they learn it from me or someone else, and yet they cannot get out of their own way. They can't follow the rules of their strategy. And you know what? I think we can all relate to this because we've all, as traders, had these moments where, we have rules and we have our max loss and this and that. And then sure enough, what do we end up doing? We go and trade past max loss. And it's like, I feel like a moron here. This is really ridiculous. And I'm going to take a big loss here on this one. And it was totally avoidable if I had just had the discipline to follow the rules of my strategy. So discipline is something that we're all, working on, and it doesn't happen overnight. It does take time, and I would also say that discipline is one of these things where it's a muscle, and it's not like you have it, you get it, and you have it forever, and you're good. It's something that gets better in time, I think, but it also is something you have to keep working at. Discipline can be a really tricky one. All right, so let's see. And I want to thank you guys who are tuned in here, listening to this Q&A and throwing out questions. I appreciate that. So this behind me, right here, where it is, I'm bad at, let's see. How do I even get my hand to go in that direction? There it is. It's like my mirrored. That was made in the 1880s. This is a ticker tape machine. So it printed the quotes, and it was made in the 1880s. And this, I think, was made in the 1960s. I can look it up right now. It was the ISEC 250 stock market, like computer. It's old. Let's see, age. 1967. Yeah. Yep. 1967, the ISEC 250. So I have another ticker that is a little newer than this one. It was probably than the one in the corner back there. It's from the 1920s. I do like them. They're hard to come by. They are quite hard to come by. I wish I could get more or find more of them, but they just don't come up for sale every day, unfortunately. So, yeah. Let's see. All right, so let me. All right, let's send that off. Okay, there we go. That's good. Boom. How do I feel about trading in the sim as part of Trader Rehab? So, I feel a little mixed about it. I think that if you're in a place where I think if you're in a place where you have no historical track record of profitability, then yeah, you should be in a simulator. If you've made money and you're just right now having kind of a setback, then I think that's a little bit different. Because if you're making money trading, but you just had a big loss, I usually would put myself into trader rehab, and what I would end up doing is I would focus on trading with small share size and just stay with real money, but with small share size. I think that's the better approach. If you generally are doing well, but you just hit, a bump. And look, I mean, it can be a big bump. I've had some big bumps. I've had some big losses, but I still felt like going to the sim was too much of a setback. I didn't think I could do that. So for me, it made more sense to stay with real money. I think look, if I lost $250,000, have a really big loss, I'm not going to go into the sim. On the next day, I might take the day off. I might cap my share size at like 5,000 shares just to stop the bleeding for a couple days. So if I keep trading, at least the losses aren't big, but I'm not going to go to sim. Algo order type enabled. I'm curious what broker you're on, where you're seeing that. I'm not totally sure. My favorite pattern really is probably the micro pullback and the first pullback, because this is a pattern that I see just all the time. In a really hot market, when you have a stock with breaking news, it doesn't wait, right? So this is what we had today. We had a stock, if you watch my recap, we had a stock that popped up. It had news. This thing was squeezing. It was moving really fast, and it gave a momentary pullback, and then it kept ripping higher. I'm going to pull up the chart for you, and I'll show it to you. So it was such a short pullback that if you didn't take the micro pullback, you kind of missed the first leg of the move. And, that's what I want to avoid. I want to avoid missing the first leg of the move. Okay, so let's see. So I'm just opening up a couple of my monitors here. All right, so this one today was PLRZ. All right, so I'm going to switch the camera around. So PLRZ, you can see it right here. So I'm going to switch to the 10-second chart. What are we doing here? 10-second chart. Oops, that's not the 10-second chart. How'd that get there? I'm going to switch the time frame. Weekly. Hang on one second. 10-second. There we go. Save. Okay. So I'm going to back this up for a second. We're going to go back here, go back here, go back here, go back here. Okay, so these pullbacks right in here, right there, that pullback right there, and then that pullback right there, this is a 10-second chart. Squeezed up, dip down, squeezed up, dip down. Okay, so that's a 10-second chart. Now let's look at the 1-minute chart. And what you're going to realize is that if you were only looking at the 1-minute chart, you probably wouldn't have gotten those entries. So on the 1 minute chart, it looked like this. It went from 320, sorry, all the way up to $6 without a pull, well, the pullback was right here at 520. So that was your first pullback on the 5 minute chart. Sorry, on the 1 minute chart. I was already in right down here. I got in right there. So it doesn't really look like a pullback on the 1 minute chart because you just see that topping tail and then that little bottoming tail. But that right there was the pullback. That was where I bought. So I got in right there on that dip, then it squeezed up, and I kept trading as it went higher. So now let's flip back to that 10-second chart. So what was happening on that little moment of pullback? That little moment of pullback was right here. It was right there. This was that 1 minute pullback where we had the red candle. We finally got a red candle right here, and then we pulled away. But that right there was that first micro pullback. So yeah, the 10-second chart for me is important, but I also am going to see those patterns on the level 2. So I'm going to see them right on the level 2 ultimately. And so what I'm looking at on the level 2 is that little moment of dip and then that surge higher, that next push higher. So that's what I'm really focusing on. When I'm trading, this is my workflow. Stock hits my scanner, I pull it up, and actually not even, so stock hits my scanner right here, and first thing is I don't even look at the chart, I just look at the results on the scanner. So I check float, I check the ticker, do I know the ticker? I check the relative volume, I check the price, and then based on all of that, if it has news, this has a news flame, those have news flames, so this one didn't right here, but if it has news, then I click on the ticker. Excuse me. So I click on the ticker, and then right here, I pull up the chart. So now the chart's loading. I'm checking the daily chart. I'm checking the news right here. I'm trying to figure out, is there news? What country is it in? Country code. And so I'm looking here, is it on my 5-pillar scanner? And if it is, then I'm already going to type in the level 2, and I'm ready to start looking at it. And from that point forward, I'm looking at the level 2, the spreads, the bid, the ask. I glance at the chart, glancing, is that a 10-second pullback? Is it a setup? Is it a bull flag, micro pullback, whatever? And I'm executing the trade, but I'm really focusing on the level 2. So, hey, thank you. So the 5-pillar scanner, all of the scanners are available for our members. So whether you're Warrior Starter, Warrior Pro member, you have the same glasses? Yeah, thank you. You know what? I love these glasses. I've had these glasses now, well, not the exact same pair, but this frame for maybe 6 or 7 years. I have 2 pairs. This pair is the one that I have around the house. My pair at the office is actually slightly different. Same brand, just ever so slightly different. You barely notice the difference, but okay. So question, what's the true risk of shorting? If you only short during pre-market and you only short the crappy high float stocks that can't really skyrocket, I would agree with you. Look, I mean, a large cap stock, is a large cap stock with a higher float going to go up 1,000% in 7 minutes? Almost impossible. Very, very unlikely. So yeah, I agree that your risk is much more limited on the short side with that approach. There's risk with shorting. There's risk with going long. The risk with shorting is inherently higher, but you can mitigate it with the choice of stock. What advice would I give to what would advice when would I advise someone to quit trading? So, that's a good question. I mean, I would say it would be if trading is causing you, if it's causing you more distress than making you feel good. If you're no longer feeling optimistic about it, and that's in spite of having like sit down, kind of real, like heart-to-heart conversations of like, this is where you're at, this is where you want to be, these are the steps to get there, give it 3 months, can you make progress? Done it, tried it, made no progress, kept reverting to my old mistakes, my old bad habits, over trading, revenge trading. And a lot of times it does end up being an internal battle where it's like, I am my biggest obstacle here. Can I get out of my own way? And I sometimes think that traders have to kind of have a like rock bottom moment. Traders, especially the ones who struggle with emotional self-control, chronic overtrading, spiraling, not following rules, stuff like that, that you need to kind of hit rock bottom to have this like, okay, wow, I can't keep doing that. For me, I had, I suppose you could say, a rock bottom, and it was a point where I could not. I took a big loss. I could not add more money into my account until I sold things in my garage on Craigslist and eBay. I was like, it was that bad, and I was like, this is your last shot. So, like, stop messing around. The problem was every 4 to 6 weeks, I would just have that one trade where I'd give back all the progress I had made in the previous 4 to 6 weeks. And it was like, I can't believe I just did this again. And every time that would happen, it would just be like, I took 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. And so it required me to have an insane level of discipline. I actually remember doing this thing where I I was so desperate. I put tacks on the floor. Must have read about someone doing this. I put tacks on the floor and like under my shoe. So, or like in between my foot and my shoe. So I would push on it and I had rubber bands around my wrists. I was like doing everything I could to like make trading uncomfortable for me. And the reason I was doing that is because I was trying to be done trading. I was like, I only want to be looking here at the computer for like an hour tops, and then I'm like done. And for some reason, that kind of helped me like minimize the time. Look, if you were struggling with over trading and you force yourself to trade like hanging upside down from the monkey bars, you wouldn't trade for 6 hours. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to do it. At a certain point, you'd be like, all right, I'm done. So I guess I kind of that like helped me a little bit there with that chronic over trading issue. And then the issue with having those big losses, it became fairly obvious the mistakes I was making. I was like, okay, I see what I'm doing, and I need to restrain myself to stop trading these types of stocks. And this is the difference between success and failure, and it's so important. I absolutely need to get this dialed in here. And I basically gave myself such a tight leash. I could only trade like basically 3 times a week, only if this particular setup formed. And if it didn't, I couldn't trade. And I just said, you don't deserve to trade anything else. You can only trade this. That's it. And I did that. And then after, a series of time doing that and having finally some success, I let myself start branching out. And, I'd have another setback and then I'd have to dial it back in. But that was like the beginning of me really turning the corner. So, that was a difficult time for me. There's no question about it. But it, I don't regret it. I'm glad that I was able to push through, but I also understand that not everyone, that's going to be the right decision for them. Thank you for the question. So let's see. Let's see. Will you say that a more expensive ticker like $7 to $10 is smoother than a more predictable ticker of $1 to $3? So I actually would say that, hey, Jason, I would say that I would love to have you back. I would say that the price range where I do well is like 5 to 10. You get a little cheaper, it can be a little tricky. The spreads get very tight, which is good for managing risk, but then they sometimes like stop moving. They're not moving enough. So that could be really frustrating. Higher price, you start to get bigger spreads, so you can get bigger whips. But if you predict it going the right direction, then then you can more likely get 50 cents a share. And I think, blowing up an account, some would say it's a rite of passage. Everyone blows up an account at least once. That there's probably some truth to that. I don't think that's totally wrong, but I think that one of the things that, I hope for, is that you're able to make a lot of those beginner mistakes in a trading simulator. So that when it comes to trading with real money, you've already kind of figured out these are the things I really need to avoid. And that's going to put you in a better position. And if you've learned about risk management and you've learned, okay, there's these certain things that I just, like I have to set guardrails on my account. It's like, does everyone fall off a bike when they're learning to ride a bike? Yeah, I suppose probably, but what if you were wearing a helmet? Well, now the stakes are a bit lower. What if you started on a balance bike before getting on like a big boy bike? You'd probably have a better chance of doing better when you first ride that real bike. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain things that you can do that are going to lower the stakes for when you first go live. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when they first go live, the stakes are still really high. They're not prepared for, kind of some of the inevitabilities of trading and managing risk. So here's my old pal. Hey, girl. Chris Pearl. Yes, you are. Girl, you've been with me since, oh, gosh. Well, you were born, now, remind me, wait, it was 2013. You were born in 2013, girl. Wow. Can you believe it? All those years teaching, all those years keeping your daddy company. Oh, she had a tough year this year. Oops. Sorry, girl. She had to have a big surgery. It was really scary for her. Oh, she had a tumor on her belly. She had to have it removed. But she's still with us. Another Christmas girl. And she comes to work with me every day. Every day she comes to work with me. So she's a real special girl. Yes, you are. But come 4 o'clock, she's ready for dinner. And she's like, all right, that's enough, Diddy. It is time for dinner now. Right? Well, no, I'm sorry. Did I say that word? Oh, she's a beautiful girl. She's got, her coat is really nice color. How do I calculate 5 times relative volume? So it's calculated automatically by my scanners, but the way we calculate it is based on, we look at, so there's 2 ways you can calculate it. There's a couple different ways, but the most common way would be to look at the volume relative to what is normal for that stock. So if a stock typically has, let's say, 500,000 shares of volume a day, 500,000 shares a day, and that's the average over the last 30 days, then if today it's trading on 5 million shares, it's got 10 times relative volume. But what if at 6:45 a.m., it already has 500,000 shares of volume, but it's only 6:45 a.m., right? It's super, super early. We factor that in. We factor that in and project, based on that, where it's headed. So it's also the relative volume based on where it's at in the day. So that's another component. Hey, all right, a pro member here. Best class, best community, love the classes. Ross starts every morning at 7 a.m. That's right, bright and early. I am nothing if not consistent about showing up every day at 7 a.m. My outfit, you never know. You never know what you're going to get, but I'm there. My position sizes today. So let's see. I'm trying to remember what my first position size was on that one. Pretty sure I was using 5,000 share block. So 5 times 4, 20,000 shares probably was my starter. And then I don't think I scaled too high, but I did hit max buying power. And I think, so I reset my account, I dropped my account down to about $180,000, which I know is a lot of money, but I'd made some money over the past couple months. And so I took out $2 million and I transferred it to my long-term Roth IRA for my long-term investing strategies. So I dropped the account from 2.2 million basically down to a little under 200,000. And so I hit my max buying power. So just divide that by whatever it was at the time, $6 or $7 a share. I think it was when it was at $7 a share that I tried that position. So yeah, I was getting kind of heavy and I couldn't add more. Maybe it was 35,000 shares. Yeah, something like that. 30,000. So what would I recommend for someone who works a 9 to 5 job, can't be at the computer at work? First of all, what kind of job do you work? They won't let you be on the computer? Okay, so if this is the case, this is what I would suggest. Girl, where did you go? I really did want to snuggle with her, and now she's just abandoned me. Oh, there she is. Let's go pester her. So this is what I would say. Hey, girl. So what I would say, oh, come on. She's like, I really prefer not to be on the camera, Davey. This is humiliating. Come on. So this is what I would say. If you're working 9 to 5, I guess one question would be, well, hold up, 9 to 5, literally Eastern Standard Time, because I start trading at 7 a.m. Right? So you could sit down at 6:30, trade till 8:30, and then maybe still make it to your job. But maybe that was more like an expression that maybe it's not literally 9 to 5. So that's one. If it's literally 9 to 5, then yeah, I think you could still trade. If it's not, if it's just more that the commitment doesn't work with your schedule, then okay, I get that. So then what I would do is I would probably practice using Thinkorswim's On Demand. So with Thinkorswim's On Demand, you can replay market data. And so that gives you a chance to replay at the end of the day. If you want to, you can replay the market. So I would do that in the evenings. I would watch, recaps, watch everything I upload here on YouTube. And if you're not able to do anything during regular hours, anytime between, 7 a.m. and the end of the day, then subscribing to tools that give you real-time market data is not going to help you, right? You're not able to take advantage of it right now. You could subscribe to classes and you could listen to them, and you could watch them at night and on the weekends, but you're going to want to try to implement some of the things you're learning. So now it's either doing replay data or trading early in the morning, maybe, or trading potentially later in the day, after hours. Not that that's ideal, but the long hair, what's the story behind the long hair? So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really know what the story is, but I think it's just towards the end of high school. I went to a school that was somewhat rigid, kind of had a uniform, dress code. Well, it wasn't a uniform, but had a dress code. Had to wear, had to dress up kind of every day and be kind of well kept, well kept. And when I sort of got out of that, I think that was a point in my life where, I think I was, I don't know. I was struggling in a lot of ways. I had a lot of stuff going on. My father was sick, and I was feeling really. I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time with people telling me what I had to do. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to go. You got to get this job. You got to go to this school. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do that. And I think it was a little bit of like, you know what? No, I'm. You can't tell me to cut my hair. That's something the man would say. So yeah, I think I sort of didn't like that so much. And honestly, I mean, in the early 2000s, I feel like having long hair was, even then, still like, you're not going to be able to get a real job looking like that. And it was like, maybe I don't want a real job, maybe that's not the path I want to go down. So growing up in Vermont, and even the time in New Hampshire, there's, New Hampshire's the live free or die state, which I love that motto. Um, but Vermont, the Green Mountain State, but I think it's just, you've got a lot of people that are a little bit more off the beaten path. And I think it makes you think a little bit outside the box in terms of like how you want to live. Being down in some of the more, you know, suburban areas can be very like khaki and vanilla and kind of, you feel like everyone needs, you have to get, I should get a job as, just, I don't know. Short interest is calculated. It is the number of shares held short relative to the float. Um, so it's pretty simple calculation, but the data can be delayed. It's not always real time. It's never real time, almost never. But there are some providers that have gotten pretty good data. I use Ortex, ORTEX, for short data. All right, so let's see. Looks like we're coming up to about 9 o'clock here. I know. I mean, this last week, I've been drinking this kombucha, and I don't know. It's very strong. And then we have one of our cousins. Uh, he's from. He married to my wife's side of the family. He's from Sri Lanka, and his family has a farm where they've been growing tea for generations. And he gave me like a little jar of the tea. And I was like, oh, this is great because I like drinking tea. And stuff is like, it's like rocket fuel. I mean, I was like, I could, you know, hear colors. I mean, I was just like, whoa. I've never gotten so much work done. Even this past, no, was it this past weekend? Yeah, the weekend before last, I got, how many hours did I do? I did 13 hours on Saturday, 12 hours on Sunday, and then I did an extra, yeah, it was about 30, I got about 32 hours of work done on the classes. Just, reteaching the classes. Um, and just, I think when I get in the zone, I just, when I wrote my book, How to Day Trade, the first version, I wrote that basically, over the course of like maybe like 72 hours. I just kind of sat down and just kind of like just, and then it all, for me though, like I kind of need to work that way because I feel like when I'm working on these projects, I'm like weaving a thread, and I don't want to stop because then I lose my place, and then it's very hard for me to like get back in. So it's kind of easier for me just to be like, okay, I'm going to spend like a stretch of time here just being like, I'm just going to like go full at it, and then it's done. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's tea from Sri Lanka. I'm not really sure. Flow state. I'm a big believer in flow state. When I think about flow state, one of the first things I think about is surfing, and I think about being on a surfboard. And I'm not a surfer, so take everything I say about surfing with a grain of salt. But what I think about is being on a surfboard and watching a surfer out there, and that they're not thinking about, oh, I need to adjust my weight like 6 degrees to the left. and this way backwards. And on my axis, I need to. It's not, it is the balance becomes like this. You are one with the surfboard, right? You're one with the ocean. And I feel like with trading, when I'm in flow state, I am feeling like I feel like the computer is an extension of my hands and my eyes and everything. I feel like I'm seeing the tape, I'm seeing the buyers, I'm seeing the sellers, I'm visualizing the chart without looking at it. I mean, I glance at it, but I can see like what's happening. And when it dips for a moment and then I see just a moment of pause, I'm like, I jump in on that dip and then it pops right back up. I take a little profit out and then it dips back down and I'll do it again. And that's when I'm doing the dips. So when I start doing dip trading, usually that's when I'm getting into flow state. Um, because, just a breakout trade, jumping in, jumping out, that's not necessarily like a big thing. But when I start getting into those aggressive dip trades, that's when, I'm usually like really in the zone. Okay, and that 5 pillars scanner is going to be available tomorrow for you guys. So I just asked and just got that confirmation. So let me just pull it up here. Where is it? Cool. Okay, so we've got two of the scans here. So we've got the 5 pillars. I'll turn this around for you so you can see it. Okay, so we've got this new scanner right here, which is the 5 pillars alert scanner. This is going to trigger an actual audio alert the second something hits the scanner and meets the criteria. And then this scanner down here is still the list at any given time of the stocks that meet the pillars of the 5 pillars. But this will let you go back and actually check the timestamp of when that stock first met it. Remember though, just because a stock meets 5 pillars right here, it may no longer meet the pillars. So here's the tricky thing. The reason I have a list of stocks that meet the 5 pillars is because not only do I want to see the stock meets the 5 pillars, I also want to see that in the moment it's tradable, which means it's moving and it's in the top percentage of the range. So that 5 pillars scan is not just stocks that meet the 5 pillars, it's also stocks that meet the 5 pillars and right now to me are tradable. So the alert scanner isn't going to confirm that they're currently tradable, but it will confirm the stock is on the list or meets those 5 pillars. So, hey, you guys, those of you who have not already jumped over to the website to check out our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. Reminder, what am I going to tell you? These sales are ending. When was it? When these sales are ending? I definitely said it at one point. Now I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, tonight at midnight, sales are ending. This is the biggest sale that we have of the year here at Warrior Trading. So, it's and that's one of the reasons I've been spending so much time working on the classes is because I wanted to make sure all of you guys who are joining have access to the latest content and updated curriculum. So you guys, I really think are going to have a phenomenal experience. I'm really excited to see you guys. Of course, I'm going to be streaming, bright and early tomorrow morning. You guys know that as always. But if you haven't checked it out, I would encourage you to check it out. And two things I would say is, I think you can rest assured about the fact that you can see other traders that are in our community commenting right here on the feed that they're pro members and they're having a good experience and they like it. So I think that should be reassuring to you. Number two, we've got a 7-day money back guarantee on the Warrior Pro membership. So you can actually get into the curriculum, you can see what it's like, and if it's a good fit, you're gonna stick with it, you're gonna love it, and it's awesome. And if it's not a good fit for you, no harm, no foul. You just say, hey, on or before the 7th day, I'm gonna jump out, and that's okay. there might be someone in here who's like, hey, I did it. It wasn't a good fit for me. I jumped out, and I still tune in. I still watch his recaps. I like, I like Ross. I like watching the videos. It just wasn't a good fit for me. That broker I've never heard of, so I wouldn't probably use it. I've just never heard of that broker. So we really try to have your back. Shorting crappy stocks that don't meet the 5 pillars. Yeah, not large caps, but yeah, I mean, well, so the thing is, this is what you have to be careful of. If it doesn't meet the 5 pillars, then the float's above 20 million, right? Or the price is a little higher. But the thing is, you have to be careful about shorting low float stocks because those are the ones that can move really fast. I mean, we see sometimes these algo spikes where they'll just go straight up. Hey, thank you, appreciate that. I always enjoy seeing you in chat. Your name's recognizable, so thank you for that. And I know you're probably doing that really so other people notice it, but I appreciate it. So, and this is one of the things that's been so great is, having this community of traders over the years that, I've gotten to know, we see each other every day, and it's, I think, we all take it very seriously. We're trading the markets together, and it's really nice to have the camaraderie of a group of traders that, you can log into and see every day. It's like, oh yeah, there's our, there's our old friend. He's still here. We've got. I notice a lot of the traders that have big badges. I noticed them. Nick, I did an interview with him. He's got his 250K badge. He's from New Hampshire. He's doing well. Let's see, Jack. I didn't catch if that was. I know we had a Jack who posted $11,000 of profit last month, but I didn't know if that was Jack. Jack, you Jack, or if that was a different Jack who's tuned in on here. Neil has his $2 million badge. Jess is at 1.5. Let's see. Let me check some other badge. Travis is at 25K. Travis was on the stream last night. One of the things that you can do when you're in the chat room, by the way, so when you're in the chat room, if you want, you can go and you can click this right here, and you can say, "Oh, I only want to see moderators, or I only want to see verified profitable traders, verified profitable users." And now you're going to get a totally different sort of curated view of the chat room. Now we've got Justin with his 500K badge, Nick 250, Wayne 25K, Travis 25K, Jess 1.5 million. So now you're only seeing the people that have bigger badges, right? That's one of the things that I kind of like to do, and I don't think it's not a bad idea. So you could just make sure you don't miss what they're saying. I mean, I guess in theory, you might miss something that's helpful from someone else, but it's definitely nice to make sure you don't miss what some of these bigger badge holders are saying. Yeah, I don't know about ChatGPT. I'm not sure what that's gonna look like in terms of like if they're gonna do an IPO. I don't know. It would be very hyped up, but we don't know. Watch list for tomorrow. Well, so the first thing I would check would be the after hours top gainers, and we had a big move on PMAX after hours, but lately we haven't had good continuation from after hours into pre-market. So I think honestly our best bet is probably going to be watching our scanners tomorrow morning for breaking news. That seems to be what's been working. Sub 1 million share float with breaking news. Manage your risk on them. They can be very volatile, so be cautious, but those seem to be. Oh, is PMAX China? I didn't see that. So that's a little bit tricky. But yeah, manage your risk on these, but that seems to be where, it kind of makes sense to focus, I think, at this point. Okay. So Chinese and Hong Kong stocks, I will trade them. I've done well on some of them. They can give us really big moves, but we also have seen that they've pulled the rug out from underneath us a few times, and we've had these huge drops. And that's not cool when that happens, unfortunately. That has been really upsetting. So, for that reason, I just try to be careful and not overstay my welcome on them. Get in, get green, and get out. Yeah, you could join using the Black Friday coupon code and start trading, start in 2 weeks. That's not a problem. We do have members that do that sometimes. It's not a problem. Yeah, you definitely can do that. So Donald says, "What's so exciting about being a pro member? What do you learn? Any live sessions with Ross, Q&A?" So I can let other people, comment certainly on it. Um, but what I would say probably is, I think there's probably three things that people really value. Number one is my actual live trading. So where you're actually, watching me while I'm trading, and you can see my position window and see how I'm getting in and getting out, and my commentary. Number two would be when I'm teaching classes live, and or when I'm doing Q&A sessions. And then number three would be when I have Warrior Pro graduates who are teaching classes, or when we're doing our trading psychology program. And those are the live things that you get as a Warrior Pro member. That's not factoring in, but that sort of seemed like what you're asking. That's not factoring in, what we were talking about before in terms of, all the education and the scanners and, the news feed and everything else. Yeah, this laptop is not my trading laptop. It's my kind of like, I don't know, it's sort of a house laptop. I just sort of leave it in the house. My trading laptop I have in my office. I don't like to carry it around more than I need to because it's, a little more expensive. It's a little delicate. It was snowing today, so I wouldn't want to carry it outside without putting it in something. Oh, girl, I see you. What is it? You know what? I know exactly what it is. So I can tell you exactly what's going on here. She doesn't need to go out. She's not hungry. She doesn't want water. You know what she wants? No, she wants to go to bed. But she doesn't want to leave me. But she wants to go to her bed upstairs, her comfy bed. She wants me to come with her. She wants me to bring her to bed. I know that's what it is. And I can't say no. I'm going to listen to her. I'm going to bring her to bed. So thank you guys for tuning in. Coming up here about 9:30. This has been a great broadcast. I love coming on here and doing some Q&A. I'll do another one, at some point. I haven't done these in a while, but I'll do another one at some point. So this has been this has been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for hanging out with me here tonight. And I will see you. I'm going to be streaming bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. My alarm's set, so I'll see you guys then. And remember, last call. So last call for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You've got just a few hours before the sale ends, so midnight. Okay, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, see you in the morning. Bye. Oh my gosh, girl. Hey, and let me just remind you, as always, one last spark. My closing statement. Trading is risky. My results aren't typical. Please manage your risk and always practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. There's no guarantee you'll find success, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own, so please take it slow. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.